Hello guys, this is me Simo Orahara, and in this video I will be talking about the secret behind the first Yamamoto scar and who caused it, and also the fight that happened between the young Yamaji and the hollow Ikomikidomoe. Because as you know, those scars on the old man's forehead weren't normal ones, and behind every single one of them a specific story. Kobo did show that the cause behind the second scar is actually because of Sasaki's Bankai, while we don't know who is the reason behind his first scar. But first guys, I normally don't say this, but please guys, if you like my content, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly press the bell button to get a notification whenever I post a new video, so everyone can see it, and like that I can keep working on the upcoming videos. So as a start, the second scar that was caused by Sasaki's Bankai happened 2000 years ago. In that period, Yamaji was the founder of Ginryu Academy and the boss of Ginji Masters. In that period, as I mentioned in the video about Sasaki's Bankai, this last one always went to Yamaji to make him his right hand, and in the end Sasaki released his Bankai to prove that he is worthy of that position, and it ended up causing to Yamaji his second scar. What matters me in that incident is the timeline, that it happened 2000 years ago, meaning 1000 years before the fight that happened between Yamaji and Yhwach. So the possibility of the first scar to be caused by Yhwach is it impossible, because their battle happened while Yamamoto had the two scars on his forehead already. Now moving on to the next possibility, which is that maybe the cause of the scar is actually Yachiro Unohana. I think that possibility as a scenario is actually good and convenient, but what makes me doubt it is, as we said before, the fact that Sasaki caused the second scar 2000 years ago. In that period Yamaji didn't founded the Gucci 13 yet, so we don't have an exact date about when he founded the Gucci, and all we have is Yhwach's speech in the chapter 511 when he said that before 1000 years the Gucci was just a team of criminals founded by Yamaji, and he was the one leading them. In the same context, Kyoraku spoke about the matter when he said before Unohana joins Yamamoto's squad, she was the biggest criminal to even exist in the Soul Society. So we don't know exactly when Yamamoto made Unohana join his squad, but mostly that happened after Sasaki's incident, which means the first scar did happen. But the possibility of a fight between Yamamoto and Unohana is very possible, because I don't think Yamamoto convinced a criminal like Yachiro only by inviting her on a date or giving her a beautiful flower. There is no doubt that they had a very strong fight that made Yachiro Unohana admit how powerful Yamamoto is. The only thing left is the fact that the fight happened after Sasaki's Bankai incident, and so I don't think Yachiro Unohana was behind that scar. So since Yhwach is not the one who caused it, neither is Yachiro Unohana, then who might have done it? To answer this question, we can move now to the second part of our topic, that is related to the battle of Yamaji against Ikomikidomoe, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. As a start, and just to be realistic, the scar could not have any story behind it. I mean, it might be caused by one of his fights, he got injured and that's it. But since the second scar had a story, then there is a possibility that the first one also has a story, especially that the novel mentioned an incident that happened to young Yamaji with one of the strong hollows, which is Ikomikidomoe. He is one of the strong hollows that has been mentioned in Hisage's novel. He considered one of the Ajukas, to the point he reached a level that made Baragan, who back then was the king of Wikomondo, respects his power. And although Ikomikidomoe didn't develop to the point he becomes a vassal lord like Baragan, but the last one did recognize his powers, and so they made a deal that no one of them gets in the way of the other. And based on that, Ikomikidomoe decided to go to the Soul Society and attack it. And here comes the mystery. Based on the unofficial translation, because this event was mentioned in the third volume that hasn't been officially translated yet, it was said, as you can see, that when Ikomikidomoe battled against the Shinigami that young Yamaji was part of, that battle ended with Ikomikidomoe ascending to the Royal Palace. So it is possible that Ikomikidomoe defeated the Shinigami including Yamamoto, or somehow he was able to ascend to the Royal Palace without anyone's defeat. But I tend to believe that he really beat young Yamaji, and whoever with him. And when Ikomikidomoe came to the Riot Palace, he tried to eat Ryo, but he met Ichibi who defeated him, and he used Ichimonji to erase his name and gave him the name Ikomikidomoe using the Bankai. Later on, Nimaya sealed him in a Zanpakuto because if he killed him, it would mess with the soul's balance due to the fact that Ikomikidomoe ate countless numbers of hollows. And later, after a long time, during the days of the last Quincy War and with the chaos of the attack of Yuabach, Tokinada stole the Zanpakuto. So what matters me in all of this is the fight of Ikomikidomoe with Yamamoto and how Ikomikidomoe was able to defeat him. And as long as he was the one to defeat the young Yamamoto, so it is possible that he was the one before the first scar. And of course we find ourselves here asking a lot of questions, and I'm talking about the battle's timeline. The term young Yamamoto was used in the novel's translation, and if we try to figure the time of that battle, let's use Yamamoto's flashback with Sasakibe. At that time Yamamoto appeared to be in his late 40s and at the beginning of 50s. So if we saw his form when Ikomikidomoe attacked the Soul Society, I think Yamamoto appeared to be in 20s or even more. So we can say maybe that battle happened another 2000 years before Bankai Sasakibe's incident, but we frankly don't know because time is one of the most mysterious things in Bleach. We don't have a constant standard for how the Shinigami characters are growing up, and according to Wiki, and I don't know where they got this information from because I haven't found it in the novel, they said that the time when Ikomikidomoe attacked the Soul Society, the Shinigami didn't have the Zanpakuto yet. So according to Wiki, Shinigami at that time were fighting without Zanpakuto. For that, Ikomikidomoe was capable of defeating young Yamamoto. But here we ask question, how the Shinigami back then didn't have the Zanpakuto, yet Ichibi was capable of defeating Ikomikidomoe using Ichimonji with the Shikai and gave him another name with the Bankai, and then Nimaya sealed him in the Zanpakuto, because it sounds like a contradiction. Or the Zanpakuto, which was recently invented by Nimaya at that time, only the members of the Zero Squad can use it at that time. I don't know, but personally, if this information wasn't confirmed, I don't think that the Zanpakuto wasn't there in that period of Yamamoto's youth, because again, according to the novel that mentioned Ikomikidomoe and him defeating Yamamoto, it didn't address the case of Shinigami not being capable of owning the Zanpakuto yet. And if there was another translation or paragraph I didn't see it about the Shinigami not owning the Zanpakuto, tell me about it guys in the comments. As for me personally, what I think is that Yamaji in his youth had Zanpakuto, but he couldn't take it to Bankai stage yet, meaning he was fighting using only Shikai or Ryujin Jakka. And when Ikomikidomoe fought Yamaji in a strong battle, he used only Shikai. That's why Ikomikidomoe won, especially that this last one had a powerful force that made him eat others' power. Furthermore, Yamamoto was young in terms of scales and power. He wasn't experienced yet to beat a Hollow in Baraga level, and it is possible that young Yamaji he was like Toshiro in the beginning of the story. I mean, a miraculous person, and everyone predicted to have a great future. But he was more of a reckless person, entered the fight with too much excitement, and he underestimated his rival's power and his abnormal abilities, which made him lose the fight and eventually get that scar from Ikomikidomoe. So all of this indicates that Ikomikidomoe was behind that scar. With that being said, what makes Bleach special is that there are time gaps, but also a strength point for the story. Notice how many events and characters in the timeline of Bleach. But right now, what I want to see the most is the flashback of Yamamoto versus Yuabach 1000 years ago. And of course, I'll be happy if I'll be able to see Yamamoto's story when he was young in his fight against Ikomikidomoe, and if he has the Zanpakuto at that time or not. So what do you think guys about the first scar? Who may be the one behind it? Is Yachiro, Yuabach, or Ikomikidomoe, or nothing? Tell me guys in the comments, and see you in my next video.